a lot of people, they will think that they listen, but they're not really listening. Okay? And they do a lot of things, like I mentioned there, where they're doing, for example, mind reading is like when I think I already know what you're going to say. Okay. Or then they'll do something where they just deflect onto themselves with every time someone says something. Or they'll do comparing. Like whenever I say, yeah, I bought a new car, they're like, yeah, I'm thinking of buying a new car. Like it's that kind of thing. So a lot of the people, firstly, they're not listening. They're not listening. And then secondly, the people that are listening, there's usually issues in the way they're listening. Like even if I'm trying to listen to you, I'm still thinking about, oh, what am I going to say to her? Or what am I going to say next? And they're not really there. They're not really present. And then another thing with the listening is even if I listen to you, I'm listening to you with my meaning. So, for example, in university, I didn't study much. I just messed around and had a good time and messed around. So when you're saying I'm studying in Germany, if I'm truly listening to you, I should know that is according to your definition of what studying is. If I try and use my definition of studying, I'm actually listening to something different to what you're saying. Does that make sense? Because you have a different version of what studying means to you. And I have a different version of what studying means to me. So when you say you're studying in Germany, if I listen to it and think about it like my experience of studying, that's not really listening to you. One of the things that what I say to people is that when you're listening to people, one of the best things we can do is we can come from nothing. Like we try and do it in a way that we know nothing about this person. We don't know nothing about what they're saying. And we have to get all the clarification from them. We have to listen to them without all of our own baggage, our own stuff and all of this. If a guy's divorced or a woman's divorced and then some guy comes to her and starts complaining about his wife and he's divorced already. Yeah, women, they're just like this, or men, they're just like this. And they're just bringing their own baggage into the conversation. So I think there's different levels of listening. The first thing I would say in terms of actually doing something about this is I would say that awareness is important. So like you're realizing that maybe I'm not so good at listening. And I think this is a really good conclusion to come to, because no matter how good you are at listening, chances are you could be a lot better. So I think definitely the awareness that you have and the thing that you've realized, this is, alhamdulillah, this is a blessing and this is really good. But at the same time, I would see listening as a muscle. Okay? So what I'm saying is that this stuff is a muscle. And so if you're not good at this, or you're not good at lifting weights, or you're not good at maths, or you're not good at any of this stuff, the great thing about it is that the way Allah has created you is that you can actually improve in all of these things. If you're not good at listening, the first thing, like you said, is to have that awareness that, okay, look, maybe I'm not so great on listening, I need to improve. Secondly, to realize that this is just like a muscle. I can actually get better at it. I might be the worst at listening right now. I might be terrible, but I can definitely get better. I can definitely get better and I can keep getting better. And then if I was to bring it down to one thing, fundamentally, because one of the things I tell people to do is that when you see someone doing something you want to be able to, don't just look at what they're doing, rather look at the way that they think. Because if you can mimic their thinking, you will mimic their actions and everything else normally. So when I'm here, like ultimately what I would say that helps me listen more than I would say the average person, actually is just caring about the person. I think if you really care about the other person, I think that would really increase your listening. That's what I believe. And so I see everyone that comes on this call as an opportunity for me. It's an opportunity for me to help them, to grow them, develop them, move them closer to Allah, and really add value to their life. And this is what I believe that my life should all be about, really. So when it's all in line like that, and I care about the people, I think all of these things are settings that make it easier for listening. Okay? It can still be challenging, but it makes it easier if you actually care for people. And this is why I always tell coaches, someone says to me, I want to be a coach, I want to be a coach. I'm like, look, one of the most important things is that you got to care for the people. If you care deeply for people or the person that you're helping, that's half the battle. And I think sometimes when we get into these situations where we're not listening properly, I don't think there's enough care. I don't think there's enough empathy. I don't think there's enough of the right mindset to enable or to create the conditions for really good listening. And I think sometimes if you can just create the good conditions, it can actually help you a lot more. So for example, let's imagine that me and you, we're talking and we're outside and we're talking and there's like lots of noise and there's like construction happening and all of that. And we're trying to talk to each other and it's very hard to hear you. It's very hard to listen to you. It's very hard to connect to you. Okay. But if we're sitting in a silent room and everyone's relaxed and everyone's got coffee and they're just like chilling and they're relaxed and it's silent, and it's much easier to listen. It's much easier to connect with people. Because look, a lot of the time, like imagine you were sitting in front of me, right? And I thought you were useless and I thought you were irrelevant and I thought you were nothing. The way I would listen to you, maybe I wouldn't even listen to you, right? I'd be like, forget this. I'm not even going to listen to him. Okay. But if you sat in front of me and I was like, wow, she's amazing. She's so valuable. She's like the best person I've ever met. She's so important to me. When you speak, I'd be listening very differently. And so the way we look at people, the way we perceive them, the value we give to them, that has an effect on it as well. And I have this big belief that I believe like everyone's valuable, and I believe that you have something of value to give. And this is why like my dream for the program is people come on and they become better versions of themselves. And when they come on the program, they think of themselves like here, most people, because of confidence issues. I'm thinking of them like here. And I'm like, I'm going to drag you up to here, basically. And so I see them like they're valuable, even though they might not be yet, or even though they might be on their journey still, I see them as what they could be. And I think when you give people value, you then will start to think differently about the way you treat them, the way you listen to them and stuff.